Hey guys, Muggs here, and today I've got something totally different. I'm going to do a tier list for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks. I thought this was a great idea. Some people on my stream suggested it and seemed into it, and the reason I'm going to do it is, well, I put a lot of time into the game. I feel like I have a lot to say about these tracks. In fact, I have so much to say that each tier, S, A, B, C, and D, is going to make up its own video. I'm going to start by ranking the D tier tracks. Then my next video will be the C tier, then the B tier, until we get to S tier. So it should build up some suspense. And I'm also not just going to wing this. I'm not just going to sort of go by my gut and do this on the fly. What I did is I ranked each track beforehand on a scale of 1 to 10, integer values only. And then I ranked each track, and that was the overall rating. And then I ranked each track in 3 categories: art, replayability, and excitement. And then what I did is I regressed my overall score against those 3 sort of category scores as explanatory variables to give me a new adjusted rank score, which I don't want to get too bogged down in the math. It's just some multiple linear regression. But basically what I'm doing is I'm conjecturing that the true score, the true overall score of a Mario Kart track should be based on a linear combination of replayability, excitement, and the art. And so basically that's kind of how my model sort of worked it out. It found the coefficients for those 3 categories that sort of minimize the error and give me the best adjusted score. But you guys didn't come here to listen to me talk about the math. Just know that there's some math going on. If you're more interested in that, I could, post a video about that. But for now, we're just going to jump right into the D tier tracks. And I actually gave some tracks an F tier. But Tier Maker doesn't go that low, so they're going to get lucky and they're going to get up to a D. So let's go right into it with the worst track in the game, in my opinion. These are obviously all my opinion. If you're angry about it, let me know in the comments. But here we go. The worst track in the game, I've got my list right here. In my opinion, is Sherbet Land. Now that may be surprising to some of you. It was a little surprising to me to see that come out as the lowest adjusted score. But not really. I just don't like this track. First off, I'm not a big fan of ice-themed Mario Kart tracks. That started way back with Super Mario Kart and Vanilla Lake 1 and 2, which are painful. Although I do like Vanilla Lake 2, actually. But Vanilla Lake 1 was a terrible track. And it just... I guess I liked a couple... Like the one on the N64 was pretty good. But I'm just not too into the ice tracks in general or the snow tracks. And Sherbet Land is no exception. First off, I don't like the music. It's derpy. I don't like the scenery. It's boring. It feels just like a wide open ice field. It's boring. You don't really need to go under the water the first time, and then the second time you can, so I'm always taking the same route. It's not like the extra routes really mix it up. It's just not a very interesting track to me. It's so boring, and that's why it's the worst in the game. And the next worst in the game is actually Toad's Turnpike. And this is a retro track, and it's one I think they really kind of dropped the ball on. I felt like the N64 Toad's Turnpike was just more claustrophobic. You couldn't bail out on the walls, and I felt like it was just a better test of skill. This Toad Turnpike, first off, it's a figure 8, it's boring, so it was already boring from the get-go. But then they widened everything. The cars are too spread out. Going on the wall to bail out and be safe is a lame option. And I just feel like it's a downgrade overall. It's too open, too boring, and you can play it too safe. So Toad's Turnpike, not a very interesting map for me. And the third worst course is actually a course I don't actively hate. It just has nothing to offer, and that's Moo Moo Meadows. One unique thing about it, I guess, is that it only has 2 sets of item boxes. So items are kind of hard to come by, and you have the cows that cross the field, which is a nice touch as the laps go on. But overall, it's just a really basic track, and so with all these other exciting tracks, I find myself kind of never wanting to play Moo Moo Meadows. I like the music. I mean, the art is fine, but it's kind of a boring theme. It's just an okay track that doesn't offer anything I can't get in another track, which is why I think it's so low. Continuing on, we've got the next worst, is the one that I actually think is worst without my model, but my model said it's 4th worst. And that's Baby Park. And I guess the redeeming quality of Baby Park is it does offer excitement. I mean, no doubt about it. You got items coming from last place, hitting you in first place, you're lapping people, you got people bagging it, people running it. it could be intense, kind of random feeling at times, which is why I personally don't like it. And let's be honest, it's just an oval. You just drive in an oval. It's just not my favorite iteration of Baby Park. I did enjoy it more on the GameCube when you had the special items. It felt way more chaotic. Even then, even more excitement. But even then, I never really loved the track, and to me, it's just an annoying track that I try to avoid at all costs. All right, and the next track is maybe a surpriser, if I can find it. There it is. It's Yoshi Valley from the N64, or as I call it, No Yoshi Sanctuary. No Yoshi Sanctuary. Yeah, no Yoshi Sanctuary for me. I do not like Yoshi Valley. Listen, first off, everybody knows to take the same routes. Unless you're getting some coins or your bag in or something, you're going over the bridge. And I don't like the music that much. It never really resonated with me. And it's just, I don't know. There's something about the track that I don't enjoy. There's no real shortcuts. There's nothing special about it. Like I said, that the bridge is the place everybody goes. You just take the shortest path, and then that egg at the end is so annoying. And I hate when people drop bombs on that little narrow bridge. It's just so annoying. It's not my favorite track. And there's just nothing really replayable about it or exciting about it. So, and the art is pretty bland. So, didn't score very highly, and it's the fifth worst. Next up, the last F grade I gave goes to Water Park. And now I have a little bit more to say here. So Water Park, as a theme, is a great idea for a Mario Kart track. But in execution, they really, in my opinion, fudged it up. I mean, listen, picture if you started off, you go through the little lobby there, and then you come out and there's water slides. 3 different paths you can choose, and they all twist and turn and wrap around each other, and there's water running down the water slide like in Piranha Plant slide, so you're going faster, and then you get ejected into the lazy river, and you have to avoid slow moving floats going down the river or something, and then you pop out of the lazy river and there are sprinklers, or I don't know. It feels like they could have done so much more with this track, and instead what we got is basically one giant turn, the lobby part, and a lot of it's just randomly underwater. I know it's a water park, but it's like, what is that? Is it just a pool? We could have done more with it. That's my opinion. Water park is a good idea in concept, but bad in execution. So Water Park, the 6th worst track, and the final F that I assigned. Now we're getting into the pure Ds, and we've got Cheep Cheep Beach. Cheep Cheep Beach is an interesting track because it's a beach theme track, and I normally love beach theme tracks, but this one, I just can't get into. I feel like it's too colorful for me, actually, which is funny, art-wise. But overall, the art's still enjoyable. It's pleasant. But the track itself just feels a little dull. There's not really any interesting shortcuts. I hate the ending portion that's really narrow, where people can drop bombs or throw shells backwards, and you just feel like you can't avoid them. Other than that, it's just a pretty bland track. Like I said, replayability was not high on this one. So it's an okay track, but just not compared to the other tracks. It just doesn't shine above. All right, what do we have next? We have Donut Plains 3 from the SNES, if I can find it. Anybody see Donut Plains 3? There it is. So what's the deal with Donut Plains 3? Why don't I like it? Because, to be honest, on the Super Nintendo, I thought it was one of the best tracks. But I think the fact of the matter is, first off, let's be honest, the SNES tracks typically, not always, but typically don't translate as well to these modern Mario Kart games. They're flat, some would call them boring, just not the most exciting. And second off, I actually enjoyed having to hop over the water, or else you would be submerged and Lakitu might have to come save you in the SNES one. I liked having to jump over the water, but now in Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 7, you can drive underwater, and that kind of takes the whole hazard out of it. You can just drive under the water. If you fall off the bridge, it's no big loss. In fact, you can pull off some nisks by going under the water on the first bridge and kind of cutting in between the bush and the blocks, and then cutting through the water really tight on the second turn, which is kind of cool. But other than that, there's no real shortcuts, and it is just a flat and boring track. It was great on the SNES. Just doesn't hold up as well these days. Let's see. Cheeseland is not next. Dolphin Shoals is next. Dolphin Shoals. Another, I guess, beach theme. This is the new beach theme track. And again, of all the Mario Kart games, this is the one where I just can't get into the beach theme tracks. Dolphin Shoals is just boring. Again, there's no major shortcuts, so the replayability was low. There's nothing really. There's not a lot of difficult driving. It's underwater, so things feel a little slower for a lot of it. I do like the eel, riding on the eel and trying to get as many tricks as I can and get those coins. But that's really the only redeeming part of the track. Other than that, it's a very sort of vanilla, basic track that, again, compared to some of these other ones, just doesn't stand out to me. And now we get to Cheeseland from the Game Boy Advance as the last D-tier track, and the last track I'm going to talk about in this video. So what gives Cheeseland the edge over all the D-tier tracks? Well, I do like the mix-up. It's kind of random cheese. I know it's just a recreation of the Game Boy Advance Super Circuit track, but cheese just feels like an interesting, different environment. And you can Cheeseland. It's a track that you really want to bag, so that at least makes it stand out a little bit amongst these other tracks. It adds some variety to the replayability. Not that you can't bag like Baby Park or Yoshi Valley, but Cheeseland is like a must bag. So that makes it a little interesting. And the two shortcuts at the end, it does give you a rush when you're way behind and you chain a golden into a star and get a shock dodge and take those shortcuts and come in first. That can be a rush. But the downfall is it can be annoying if you're running the track and you have a perfect run and then all these baggers come through. It kind of makes it feel a little cheap at the same time. So if you're in the mood for bagging, it's a good track. Otherwise, it can be an annoying track, and that's why it scored in the D tier. Replayability had some to offer, but overall, just not good enough to crack the C tier. And those are my D tier tracks. You can see from worst to best: Sherbet, Toads, Moo Moo, Baby, Yoshi Valley, Water Park, Cheep Cheep Beach, Donut Plains 3, Dolphin Shoals, and Cheeseland. Those are my bottom tracks, my bottom 10 actually. So what's going to be in the C tier? Look at all this stuff we have left. We have 38 tracks and random remaining. Where's everything going to go? Find out next time on Mario Kart tier list track ranking with mugs. All right, that was a mouthful. I'll see you guys next time. If you disagree with me about these tracks, let me know in the comments, and I'll be back soon with the C tier tracks. Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.